Let's begin with the round of prayer. Oh, oh, oh. अंतर्ज्योतिः बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परा ज्योतिर्ज्योतिः स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम् ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नारायणसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. So before I begin, I want to offer my gratitude and my prostrations to my dearest masters, Shri Acharya Vinay Vinaykar and Shri Narsim Prabhuji. Acharya Vinay Vinaykar, through Sevak organization, has been serving humanity now for more than 5 decades. And same is the case with Shri Narsimha Prabhuji through Atmajyoti Foundation. It is the blessing and guidance of these great masters that enables all of us to have a wonderful life. So today, whatever I'm going to share is something that they have been kind enough to bless. All right, so we'll begin our today's game. So how does typically any game begin? Usually we all have seen all these races, and typically how does it begin? It begins by get set go, or ready steady go, right? So there's already some kind of a three here, ready steady go. Okay, so let's also begin our today's game. So let's begin with a wonderful story that's found in our Puranas. It so happened that Narada Maharshi was feeling kind of incompleteness. He was not feeling fulfilled. So he went to Sanat Kumara and he wanted the guidance. Why am I not feeling complete? I know so much. And Sanat Kumara, as his guru at that point, asked Narada Maharshi, tell me what all you know. And Narada Maharshi said, oh, I know music, I know Jyotishya, I know astronomy, I know physics. So like that, he made a list of so many things. But still, I think I don't know something that is worth knowing. I don't feel complete. I feel incomplete. And that is when what I'm going to share next statement apparently was made. Though Sanat Kumara may not have made the statement in this way, but the essence of what Sanat Kumara said is, you and I in life should know that, by knowing which all that can be known can be known. Let me repeat it. Know that, by knowing which all that can be known can be known. So at the first glance, it appears like a kind of a very complex and a puzzling statement. So Narada Maharshi also thought about it for a while. How is it possible? By knowing something, all that can be known can be known. Is it possible like that? For example, I know only so much in mathematics. I know only so much in physics. I know only so much in chemistry. I know so much in only any field of life that you take. How is it possible? But that by knowing something, anything that can be known can be known. That's when Sanat Kumara taught the secret of it. The secret is, imagine you and I have to learn music. What is the alphabet of music? If I ask, all of you would say, oh, it's the swaras. It's the sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. So it's these swaras. And when I know about the swaras, and when I know how to make that particular swaras sound properly, and I know the variations of that swara, then in a way, I know all the songs. Because ultimately, all the songs are something that can be decomposed into these swaras, isn't it? So, in a way, by knowing the swaras, the essential aspect of the music, I have come to know about all that can be known. Doesn't mean that I will know a particular song. When I listen to a particular song, I will still have to figure out how it is composed, what kind of swara it is composed with. But the fundamentals remain the same. The same seven swaras will repeat, but maybe in different patterns. So in a way, I can have the confidence that, oh, I can learn this new song, because all songs are nothing but these seven swaras only. Like that. Now, when you notice any other topic of life, say physics, there are also some fundamentals. We keep on hearing, no? Learn the fundamentals, learn the essentials. Or for that matter, let's say novels, English novels. Is it possible that, I can learn or I can read all the English novels? Yes, it is possible when I know the alphabets, when I know how they are composed into words, when I know how they are composed into sentences. So in a way, though I may not have necessarily read all the novels, by knowing these fundamentals, I know how I can know even when a new novel comes in front of me. So like that in life, when you and I, Sanat Kumara, as the Sadguru taught to Narada at that point, oh Narada, when you and I learn the fundamentals, the essentials, in a way, you and I can learn everything else. Likewise, know the essential aspects of who you are, of what this world is. What is the connection between the two? So only by knowing the essentials, by knowing the fundamentals, can you really come out of your feeling of incompleteness. Because only by knowing can you act properly. So like that is this wonderful story. Know that by knowing which all that can be known can be known. And by the way, these Purana stories are so wonderful. The names, for example, when you look at the name Sanat Kumara, Sanat Kumara, Kumara means very young, always young. Sanat means though very ancient, is ever young. That's why if you look at the picture, it is not generally the picture of Narada Maharshi or Sanat Kumara. It has some old people in many cases. But now, thanks to AI, when I generated this picture, I could prompt it to generate young and divine looking people. So Sanat Kumara, the one who is very young, though is very ancient. In the sense, Sanat Kumara here represents the jnana, knowledge, the realization that Narada Muni had. Because Sanat Kumara is not a particular person here. in this particular way of looking at the story. Then Narada is like you and me, who have to realize this truth and have to preserve this truth and help spread this truth. That's why if you see, Narada Maharshi is always traveling with this instrument. That instrument is a representation of somebody who is constantly spreading that beautiful note. Which note? The divine. So today, with that hope and prayer that all of us realize the truth, and we also, like Narada, spread this divine message. Let's take the next step. So, when you and I look around, there are many, many mysterious aspects that we can find in life. One among them is this tree. This tree seems to be so mysterious. There are so many trees everywhere. If you look at time, we talk about time in terms of yesterday, today, tomorrow. There is three aspects, three kala, we say. Or when you look at the in the language, the tense, past tense, present tense, future tense, there is a three there also. When you look at the primary colors, all of you would already know that so many millions and millions of varieties of colors we know, but all of them are fundamentally composed of these three in different hues and shades and varieties. Which are these three? Red, blue, and green. There is also three dimensions. If you look at our own space, where you and I operate, it is length, width, and height. It's a three-dimensional space. Again, three. And one another last example, not the least example. If you look at the very movement of life, there is birth, there is death, and in between there is life. So there is also three, and it seems to be happening continuously. So like that, when you look at it now, you can also start thinking of many, many examples. You must already be thinking of many other trees that you can notice in and around you. I've just given you some simple examples. So, is it only in and around us? If you look a little closely, you and I are also full of trees. What kind of trees? Let's just start first from the very visible level, which is the body level. The body itself, when you notice the body, there is an upper, there's a middle, there's a lower. These are the three major sections of the body. Then when you look at each of the different organs, especially let's say the hand, you have a upper hand, the middle, and the arm, the one where we hold things, the forearm. So there are three sections of the arm. Similarly, the leg also has three sections. Not only that, if you notice your very finger itself, finger also has three sections. So then you already may know about energy channels, Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. Then the main aspects of the existence itself, as far as anyone is concerned, is said to be composed of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Again, three. So like that, three seems to be kind of spread everywhere in and around us and in us. Something very mysterious, isn't it? So today, therefore, there is this little, if you want to call it, a little poetic phrase. When you and I learn the game of 3-5, then life, your and my life, will simplify. What is the 3-5 that we are talking about? Today, let us together discover a game of three. What is that game of three? First is identity. Next is something called as a amplify. So we have to identify, we have to amplify, we have to nullify. So when we master these three aspects, The game of three, of identifying, of amplifying, and of nullifying. What is that? We will discover as we go further. Then our life will become very simplified. So that's the hope, that's the prayer, that's the main message for today. Your and my life at the end of the day has to become simple, wonderful. That's the prayer. That's the whole reason why all the great masters have been working. So, with that, next is a small game. I would like all of you to participate. So, I will be showing you a picture and there'll be a small activity. So, please get ready for that. So, now you will be seeing this picture in front of you. So, I want all of you to take a moment, and maybe if you have a pen and paper in front of you, group them by family. You see different pictures. There are some 12 pictures. They're all around the place. Please group them by their family. I'll give you another 30 seconds. And I would like to listen to you after you are done. So therefore, Vasuji, if they can be unmuted, it will be nice.
Yes, Vijayji.
So all of you may be seeing this picture. So please take a moment to reflect on this picture and see how you want to group them. What kind of groupings are coming in your mind? I want you to group them by family. That's the game. All right. I hope all of you would have cracked it, because this is like a primary school game for all of you, I'm sure. Anybody wants to volunteer and share your perspective, what you've grouped and how you've grouped? Okay, I can see some chat message. Human, plant, animal. Okay, that is 3 varieties somebody has put, and somebody has also put birds. Excellent. Very nice. Any other answers? Any other answers? So 4 families: family of plants, family of birds, family of animals, family of humans. Okay. Does anyone have any other way of organizing them? Okay, excellent. Looks like this is what maybe most of you have done. Then I would love to listen to your view. Whoever wants to answer, please. What were you looking at when you were grouping? So looks like you've grouped by plants, grouped by birds, animals, humans, 4 families you've identified. What were you looking at when you were grouping them?
Birds, sir. 1, 7, 12 is a bird.
True, correct.
But
what were you looking at, sir? What were you looking at when you say they are all birds? What were you looking at?
Birds. It will have its own music type, singing.
Excellent. So some kind of singing. Okay.
We can hear from our ears the music.
The music we can hear. So that is one aspect you considered. Very good. Then
next is plant. That is 3, 6, and 11.
Yeah.
This is for eyes. This is for eyes, where we can see, and through eyes we can it goes to earth, will become a happiness to see this one through our eyes.
Super.
Next comes to human beings. That means 4, 5, and 10. We can see human beings. That too, they are like a kids. So kids singing without, because they don't have that much thinking. They enjoy their life. That one we can see through the kids.
Yeah, very nice.
Another is a doll. I think 2, 8, and 9 doll. Doll can be played by children or adults sometimes, and everyone can enjoy that. This one. these things one can enjoy. You get happiness of all these things. One is through ears, one is through eyes, one is to see children playing and they're enjoying comes to our minds. That's what I feel.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you saw something, for example, for the plants, you saw the way they are, and you said, oh, they all look alike. Okay. And for birds, oh, they all mostly sound alike. So like that, you had some characteristics that you observed. Excellent. Anybody wants to also chime in and share your perspective in how you organize? Yes, sir.
Okay, so visually, when you look for birds, look for feathers, and see, some three forms with feathers are birds. You group them like that.
Yeah.
And then you look for plants, look for trees and green and leaves and green. So when you see visually, when you see that form with leaves, group them as plants. Then what else? Then, of course, animals, the face overall, 2 eyes, 2 ears, then different kind of a nose when compared to human beings. Human beings, of course, the hair and the face, and a little bit about the dress. So these are the identifiers I used to classify.
Classify them. Excellent, excellent. So though if you look at for example, the what you called as animal group, animal family, number 2 and number 8 and number 9, they look different, but in a way, in your way of organizing, they all have some similarities. Though there is a difference, there is some similarity, and you are looking for those similarities to group them. And those of us who probably have also gone through the traditional zoology training, humans also are put into animals only, but anyway we organize them separately. So nothing right or wrong, but the important thing to notice is that we all were seeing something to put them together as family, right? So now, so if I were to ask you the question, so okay, so how did you group them? You would say, oh, I looked at certain qualities, right? Like how each one of you explained. Oh, I looked at the feathers, I looked at the leaves, I heard. Okay, so some sounds they make similar. So like that, certain qualities is very, very similar. So therefore, I would group them together. That's the first thing that you would say. And if I further ask, okay, what is a quality? You would say that, oh, it is something that I noticed. How? Okay, maybe through my eyes or maybe through my ears. So like that, you will give me some explanation. So what is that we're talking about? There are some qualities that we are noticing, and these qualities is what we are using to group them together. But next question I'm going to ask you here is a little tricky one. What about the quality of qualities itself? What about the quality of qualities itself? So we notice so many qualities, but can we comment on the quality of qualities? That's the first exploration that we will take today. Because once when we go in this direction, quality of qualities, there is something little more fundamental to discover. So let's use an example and build it. So what is that you're seeing in front of you? Everybody knows it's fire. Okay. Now comes the question. What are the distinct, different qualities of fire that you can think of? What are the different qualities of fire that you can think of? Either you can send your view in the chat, or you can unmute and you can answer. What are the
Heat
different?
and light.
Heat and light. Excellent. Heat and light immediately comes to our mind. What else comes to our mind about the quality of fire?
Orange,
It gives
red.
fire, it
Yes,
gives
sir.
us food. Food it gives for us, which is basic thing request for human beings. Without
Yes,
this
sir.
fire, we cannot cook anything else.
So
The
it is
food gives
useful
more
for,
energy for us.
for cooking. It is a form of energy. Excellent. But I
Energy for
want
us.
to notice the quality of fire. We may use it in different
Tejas.
Sorry?
Tejas.
Tejas. There is some kind of a Tejas. Excellent. And in the chat, I can see it burns. Excellent. Excellent. So one of the quality of fire is it burns. Very nice.
Burns.
Yeah. Yeah. What it symbolizes is definitely there. But I'm asking you what kind of characteristics you notice. What kind of qualities you notice. Yeah. So like how it's come out. It is burning. Light is a characteristic. Heat is a characteristic. Its color is a characteristic. Any other characteristic that you can think of?
It removes the darkness also.
It removes the darkness, which is nothing but, it provides light. Light is its quality, we can say. Like that now, you have given me so many distinct qualities. And in what you have given me, actually, what you have given me as the qualities, these qualities can be grouped into two fundamental types of qualities, two kinds of qualities. So what are they? The first one is what we can call as guna, and the second one is what we can call as swarupa. Guna is also can be referred as a dependent or changing. Swarupa is unchanging, fundamental. If that quality of whatever the identified quality in the swarupa is removed, that object is no more that object. So let's take an example. Let's look at this, fire itself. So when you look at fire, like how already many of you identified, it burns. So there is some quality in it which we can call as the burning quality. Dahakatva. If at all we have to use some Sanskrit word for it. Dahakatva. It has the ability to burn. Prakashatva, light. Ushnatva, heat. Now for a moment reflect. If any one of this is removed, you would no more call that as fire. Right? And in a way, fundamentally, these three cannot be removed from fire, and still you would end up calling it as fire. Fire means it has these fundamental qualities. So without them, you would no more classify this as fire. Such qualities, and these qualities also notice one more thing, they are fundamental, they're inherent, intrinsic. These are different words we can use in fire. They're already there. And that is why it is called fire. So this is the first kind of quality. What? Swarupa. As the word itself says, Swarupa. Rupa means some kind of a shape and form. Swa, its own shape and form. Its own intrinsic shape and form. Swarupa. So these are some of the Swarupa Lakshanas of fire. Similarly, there are some gunas. Gunas are dependent qualities. Gunas are also there in the fire, but they're dependent. For example, the brightness of the fire depends upon where it is burning. If imagine I have a small lamp with a small wick, then the brightness would be only that much. But imagine there is a wild fire, then the brightness would be much higher. Or its intensity is also dependent on where and how it is burning. Its color, depending upon the various kinds of factors, the color also changes. Temperature also changes. They are also there. These characteristics, these qualities can be observed in fire, but they are dependent qualities. They are not fundamental to fire. What is fundamental to fire are Swarupa. What is dependent is Guna. So this is the first thing that we have to notice when we talk about qualities itself. So what is the use of this? Why are we talking about this? Why do we need this understanding of being able to distinguish between Swarupa and Guna? Is because, see, the moment you remove the Guna and the Swarupa, meaning what? you distinguish between guna and swarupa, swarupa is actually nothing but the actual object itself. As I said already, there is no way you can remove ushnatva from fire and still call it fire. So in a way, fire, the real entity called fire, is nothing but ushnatva, prakashatva. So those three fundamental qualities that we recognized. So when you and I recognize the swarupa, or fundamental qualities, in a way, we are referring to nothing but the actual object itself, the vastu itself. Because the real vastu, the object, the real entity is something that is having so many characteristics, so many qualities. But only when we distinguish between the guna and the swarupa, then the swarupa points to the vastu itself. In a way, we can say swarupa is vastu. Or we can also say, by knowing the essential nature, you in a way know the real entity itself. This is the value of doing this segregation. By recognizing the characteristics and by classifying them into guna and swarupa, and by knowing the swarupa, we'll be able to look at the vastu itself. We'll be able to know the vastu itself, the real entity itself. So, what is the realization? Look at the beauty of this word, realization. Realization. So, in a way, similarly, if you and I put the question, because what did Sanat Kumara taught Narada Maharshi? Know yourself, know the essence of everything. In a way, know yourself is the first thing that I should know, because I am the one who wants to know everything else. So who am I? So first of all, by knowing my essential nature, I can also know my true or real self. Is the realization through this simple activity that we just now did. So which means now to continue to understand the game of the three, because what is the game of the three that we pick is to identify, amplify, and nullify. So first I have to identify. What should I identify? My real nature, my real self. Once when I identify my real nature, I have also identified my real self. So because the game of life is what we want to simplify, right? So therefore, we are in this pursuit. So let's take that next step, which is then the natural question is, what is my swarupa and what is my guna? Or in other words, what is my unchanging nature and what is my changing nature? Would be the way to craft this question or to frame this question. So let's embark on understanding this further now. So if I ask the fundamental question now, so what is my swarupa? Or in other words, what is my independent or unchanging nature? So the question can also be framed by each one of you. What is my swarupa? What is your swarupa? So to understand the swarupa, just like how we did with the fire, first of all, we have to know our different parts, right? So the natural way we think about ourselves is, okay, there's a body. It's very visible. It's very perceptible. So there's a body, which is also called in the Vedanta as Bahya Karana, the outer instrument, the outer body or the body, because this is the one which is visible to who? To someone else. And this is the one through which I interact, where in so-called world, right? So this is Bahya Karana, Bahya Karana. This is one aspect that all of you can recognize. But this Bahya Karana, it is operated by your Antakarana, your inner instrument, your inner body or your mind. Various kinds of thoughts and emotions and all that thinking, the memory, all of that put together is what we call as Antakarana. None of us have seen, like how you and I say, oh, I have seen a mountain through this physical eyes. None of us have seen something called as a mind. But by the way you and I operate, you and I say that, hey, there is thinking happening. There is something called as a mind. Nobody has seen where the mind is or how big the mind is. But because of the functioning, we have come to know that there is something called as a mind. And you and I know that, okay, whatever that you and I are doing in life, first you and I think about it. If let's say you have to drink water, first you think about it. Oh, I have to go and drink some water. Then you go and find the water. So then the action is happening through the Bahya Karana. But first the action has already happened, or the thinking has already happened in the Antakarana. So these are the two main parts. So now let's ask the question. In these two parts, what is my Swarupa? Is any one of them or both of them or combination of them is actually my Swarupa? Let's ask that question. And let us notice little carefully. What is the nature of the body? What is the nature of the mind? When you notice the nature of the body, you're born this little, and that body seems to be continuously changing, morphing, and it seems to be also growing big. And we also can notice that after some time, it no more grows, but rather it starts decaying. So it doesn't seem to be something like a permanent thing, because the question that you and I are asking is Swarupa, unchanging. But this body seems to be continuously changing. It seems to be taking birth, growing, and after some time decaying. What about the mind? Mind also has a similar characteristic, similar nature. Day before yesterday, you may not have known some information. Today, you have known that information. The way you thought about your life some 20 years back, today, the way you look at life is much different. So, there's a continuous shift or a change happening in the so-called mind also. It also doesn't seem to be static. And it also seems to have a similar characteristic. Thoughts seem to come, they seem to be there for some time, then they seem to decay. Once upon a time, maybe you wanted to be a dancer, and that was your primary way of functioning in life. Go for dance practices, listen to dance music, go and practice. But maybe now it may not be the main way you think about life. So like that, many changes are continuously happening in this Antakarana also. So when you notice these two, both these have what in Vedanta is referred as Shadvikaras, 6 apparent modifications. They come into existence, then they start manifesting, they start growing, then they start transforming, then they decline, and one day they disappear. So what it means, because the question is Swarupa. But if you ask the question, oh, so have I also disappeared with my changing body or with my changing mind? The obvious answer you will give is no. So which means that whatever that is happening with the body and the mind, those changes and whatever the guna lakshanas that are associated with the body and the mind cannot be your Swarupa. Or, in other words, the same thing can be said as these two are gunas. Why? Because they're constantly changing. They're dependent on something else. What are they dependent on? We'll discover very soon. But they're not independent. They're dependent because they themselves are continuously changing. For change to happen, there must be something on which the change is happening. So, what can I conclude from this simple thinking and the way we have organized this information is that I whoever you are cannot be body or the mind. Because if you are the body or the mind, with the change of the body, you also would have gone away. Or with the change of the mind, you also would have gone away. So you cannot be body or the mind. So body or the mind, whatever characteristics that are associated with the body or the mind, cannot be then my Swarupa. Because all of these are continuously changing. So then, what is that my essential nature? Who am I truly then? And this is an answer that many of us in many different situations might have seen or read or heard. And this is the pointer that all the realized masters give. There is something else other than the body and the mind, and that is who you truly are. Here, for the sake of the picture, it is shown as this radiant sun, but it is not a thing like that. Unlike the body or the mind, it is not a thing like that. It is simply to bring a distinction in the picture that I have used the radiant sun. But the essential nature of this is Sat, Chit, and Ananda, Satchidananda. And there are many other phrases to refer to your essential nature. Satyam, Jnanam, Ananta, Satyam, Rhythm, Brihat. So like that, there are many other what are beyond modifications, lakshanas of you that can be used. But all of them fundamentally can be referred to these three: Sat, Chit, Ananda. These are fundamental, beyond any modification. How? Sat means what? Existence. I exist. That's a feeling that you already have. And that is a feeling that you always have been having. Nobody came and taught you that. Nobody gave you that. Even when your body is changing, your mind is changing, I am there is a constant feeling, is a constant essence that you feel. So that cannot be subject to modification. Nirvikara, it is beyond any modification, that Sat aspect in you. Then the consciousness, the Chit aspect, the one who is recognizing all these changes. If there is a change, for example, I was this tall, now I'm this tall. I was this heavy, now I'm this heavy. To recognize all this, the change, there must be someone who's not changing. And that unchanging must also have the ability to cognize, to recognize, to know, to be conscious of the change. Chit. And this Chit aspect in you is non-modifiable, unmodifiable, nirvikara. Ananda. As a body, there is a particular shape and form. There's a limit. As a mind also, there's a particular limit depending upon the nature of the thinking. But as that consciousness, what is the shape and form? Is there a limit? When you examine that question, there cannot be a boundary associated with that. So in other words, it is infinite, ananta. Ananta means what? It must be all inclusive. If something is excluded from it, it can no more be ananta. So when all is included, then there is no more wants and don't wants. There is no more likes and dislikes. So in your essential nature, you're already complete. And the bliss of the completeness is Ananda. So, therefore, what is the essential or the unchanging nature of you through this simple experiment that we just now did and how we classified the qualities? Is that you or I cannot be a body or mind. And it is something beyond. And that something beyond there are different phrases to denote different ways in which the existence is. Satchidananda is one such phrase. Satyam Ritam Brihat. When live, there's a lot of order and rhythm. Satyam, we already know. Rhythm, the very way in which everything is interwoven and everything is moving, there is a rhythm. Brihat, it is infinite. So, like that, there are different ways by which the same truth, essential nature, has also been expressed. But what is that you and I have found out? That by knowing the nature, which nature? Swarupa, unchanging nature, I can recognize the Vastu itself, my true being itself. My true being is not something that is appearing to be changing the body and the mind. So, what is the realization? My essential nature is Satchidananda, is my essential nature. So, it is so simple, so profound. Yet, many a times, you and I have this, what we explain as, I know all this, I still feel this discontentment, dissatisfaction. I know, but I'm not able to live. Remember, our journey today is the game of the three. So, first aspect is therefore identify. So, we've identified my essential nature. We've already identified my essential nature is already completeness. But there is still this chasm. I know, but I'm not feeling it. I know, but I am not able to live it. So, what is this chasm and how do I jump over? How do I cross over? That is where the next two aspects of the game come. And that is, I need to learn what to amplify in my life and what to nullify in my life. Because of not recognizing what to amplify and what to nullify, I still am caught up with this mind created discontentment, dissatisfaction. So, that is what we will discover as our next step. It is, what should I truly amplify? And to help what to amplify, many great masters have given many great guidance. And Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has spent, if you really look at Bhagavad Gita, there's a whole lot of continuous thread about who a jnani, a realized being is. So one of the simplest way what to amplify and what to nullify is, what you and I should do is to look up to the right kind of role models, whether it is Prabhuji or whether it is Vasuji or whether it is Vaniji. What is the kind of the conduct they have in life? What do they give prominence to? What do they really do? And how is that they do what they do? So like that, when you and I start noticing through a living master, we will naturally know what to amplify and what not to really amplify or to nullify. However, there is a guidance that Sri Krishna has also given. And that you can find in the chapter called as Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. Daiva Asura. Daivi means divine. Asura. Asura means, a rough translation to English would be demonic. Rakshasatva. So there are Daivi qualities and Asuri qualities. And you and I need to recognize how to separate them. Sampad, Vibhaga. We need to know how to distinguish them. And then you and I need to know what to practice in life and what to reduce in life. Amplify and nullify. So, to help you and me with what are the divine qualities, Sri Krishna has given these three shlokas in the Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. Essentially, when you look at these three shlokas, it actually lists about 26 distinct divine qualities that are already in you. It is just that you and I have to make an effort to bring them out. Because by bringing out only, you and I know how to simplify. Because remember, we have to play the game. Game cannot be played by simply knowing that it exists, but by bringing it out. Now, our current session may not allow you and me to go into each of the 26, because each of the 26 is a fantastic way of looking at life. Each quality is such a fantastic quality that you and I can spend many hours together to reflect on each of the quality. But what I would like to do is to give you a kind of an overview, group them by some major groups to give an overview. But before that, I would like to chant these three shlokas. Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Danam Damascha Yajñascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam Ahimsa Satyamakrodha Tyaga Shantirapaishunam Daya Bhuteshwalo Luptvam Mardavam Hrirachapalam Teja Kshama Dhrite Shauchaha Adroho Natimanita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. Beautiful in the way Sri Krishna and Vedavyasa Maharshi have given us this treasure. There are many ways by which you can group them. This is one of the way. Broadly, what can be called as qualities for inner purification and growth, spiritual growth, and self-control and conduct. There are many situations of life where you and I have to exercise our how my mind works, how my body works. You and I have to exercise that self-control, and how you and I have to conduct. And how do we create various values that create harmonious life in and around wherever you and I are? Because the harmony begins first and foremost from within and in our family and in wherever you and I are. Then there are these divine qualities to bring out the strength and stability. So, for example, inner purity, abhayam, fearlessness. There is no fear. As a pure consciousness, what is there to fear of in life? Who you have to be afraid of in life? So there are many wonderful stories. There's one little wonderful story from Swami Vivekananda's life. He and his friends used to play in a particular farm, and there used to be one tree where they used to always hang. They climb and hang and everything. The owner of the tree, he wanted to scare them away because he was afraid that they would pluck the fruits and he would lose the money. So he came and said one day, "Hey, this tree has this this ghost, and if no adult is around, he'll catch hold of the children. It's very fond of these children." Hearing that, many of the children ran away. They got really scared. And that owner went away, but Vivekananda was still there. And he was not called Vivekananda back then. He was Naren. And the children came to Naren and said, Naren, are you not afraid? Look, what is the value that you and I have to inculcate in life? First and foremost, it is about the right questioning in life. Because it's only the right questioning that can open the right path of discovery. What Naren said is, if at all there was a ghost, we have been playing for these many days, How come it has never appeared? How come it has never come to us? Is ghost to scare us away? Or is there really something called as a ghost? So there is fearlessness in asking about any situation of life. There are many other situations like that, where it may not be about the ghost, but it may be about, for example, somebody may come and accuse you of something that you may not have done. You have to be unafraid in understanding from where they're coming and why they're saying what they're saying. You have to be unapologetic towards understanding. And if the mistake is from your side or my side, you and I have to accept. So fearlessness means that you and I already have that capacity to be fearless, irrespective of the nature of the situation, whether the situation is beneficial for me or whether the situation is so-called harmful for me. The clarity about who I am brings out this fearlessness. This is a quality that you already have, fearlessness. But you and I have to bring it out through practice, because there are many, many situations where you or I may still feel little afraid. It may not be to do with ghost. It may be do with, maybe say, for example, some people, oh, I'm growing old. I don't know how my health will be. There is fear already. Fear-based way of looking at life. Oh, I don't know how my children will be. Oh, I don't know what will happen to my monetary situation. Oh, I don't know what will happen to water situation. So like that, fear can creep into our thinking in many different ways. So fearlessness is the way to address and to be fearless, first and foremost, to practice fearlessness and to see what is the right next step to take. So like that, when you examine these 26 qualities, and there are many other wonderful qualities that Sri Krishna describes all through Bhagavad Gita. Each one is a gem. And each one, like I already said, we can go on and on. So many more things to discuss, so many various nuances to understand. So this is what you and I have to learn to amplify. Of course, what to nullify? Again, in the same Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga, Sri Krishna guides what to nullify. What to nullify? Again, he describes in so many shlokas. But if you really think about it, should I focus on my negative qualities and think about how do I correct it? Again, there's a beautiful story. Again from Swami Vivekananda. Somebody asked him, Swamiji, look at this world. So much of corruption, so much of anger, so much of violence, so much of not so nice things happening. How do we ever come out of all this? So much of ignorance. Where is the end to all of this? Swamiji said, Swami Vivekananda said, when you and I enter a room, and if the room is pitch dark, what is that you and I have to do to remove the darkness? Naturally, I will turn on the light. Turn on the light of the knowledge. Where? Within you, within me. Because the only thing that can remove the negative, or the only thing that can remove the darkness, is the light of the knowledge. The light of the true knowledge. Means what? That which doesn't shake. That which doesn't shake whenever something untoward happens. That which is stable. That which is Bhadra. That which is stable. Realize that knowledge. Use that knowledge as the light to dispel the darkness. So, in a way, rather than focusing on the so many negative qualities, if you and I continue to focus on the divine qualities. Keep amplifying the divine. Naturally, that will nullify the whatever that is not necessary, whatever that is not nice. However, to understand, there are these broad categories of what to nullify. My own sense of arrogance that I derive out of my, who I am, how much I know, how much money I have, the pride of my ego, the pride that comes from what I know, what I have, what I possess. Then the cruelty and the harshness, not necessarily only in terms of the physical cruelty. Sometimes the words are worse than the physical cruelty. How many of us suffer from listening to such harsh words from others? How many times we have subjected others to a similar treatment? That needs to be nullified. Greed and deception. From what is greed coming? Greed is coming from wrong understanding of who I am. When I get consumed by the thinking that I am a body and the mind, greed occupies my mind. Why? Because I have to now preserve this. So greed and deception again has origin in the wrong understanding. Similarly, hostility and violence, lack of faith, all these are what you and I have to nullify in life. So as we amplify the divine and nullify the asura, naturally the divinity that is within, the divine that you already are, will start shining. A master who you and I call as a great master also started this journey one day, sometime back. One day that master also decided, from now onwards, this is the truth, and I will only live according to this truth. I will only walk the path of the dharma. I will only cultivate and I will only bring out the best in me, the best in others. That's a sankalpa that a master has made. And that is how he has become a master. But he also had to walk this path. He also had to walk the same path that you and I are walking, the path of the life. He also had to face the same trials and tribulations, same fire of apaninda. It is said, whenever Rama was born, he always was subjected to apaninda. He also had to face, just because he's avatara, just because he is the divine incarnate, doesn't mean that he is exempt. He had to go through every kind of trials and tribulations. So, what distinguishes them from the others is not only identification of the true nature, but also amplification of their inner divine qualities and nullification of not so nice demonic qualities. So here there is a small scene to put it all together from the movie called Puspaka Vimana. Many of you may remember this movie. This was a very famous movie when we were all growing up in, I think, 90s. This is one of a kind of a movie. There are no dialogues in this movie. But without any dialogue, this movie is really still very profound. And there's a very particular moment in this movie. Just watch this, and then I would like to listen to your reflections. That's the scene. Simple, short scene. Was it clearly visible? Does anyone want me to repeat? I have a couple of questions, but before I ask the questions, does anyone want me to repeat?
It
Was it
was visible, Vijayji.
excellent? Thank you. So, what did you observe, and what do you think you and I can learn and apply in our day-to-day life from this simple scene that we watched, and in connection to what we have seen so far? What did you observe in this scene, and what is that you and I can take away from this?
You can unmute and speak. The microphones are on. After speaking, please mute yourself back.
You can also share your views in the chat. Anybody wants to volunteer to speak?
Anyone would like to speak?
No comparison.
No comparison. Very nice. That's what you gathered. Very nice, sir. Can you elaborate, sir, a little more? What do you mean by that?
Comparison will provide jealousy.
Comparison is what is creating jealousy. Excellent, excellent, sir. Thank you. Any other viewpoint?
My money may not be your money. Money may not mean nothing to the other person. So your values are yours. I can't say that. I can't say that. It means nothing to the other person.
Yeah,
Uh,
very nice. Any other viewpoint?
The persons who had he had a ego, seeing that beggar persons that I am great. So money may not come. Here he says, as a divine, you have to see every person's money will come and go, but see him as his divine. Then only he will feel happy, or else he may not feel, because he is seeing through ego that I am having a tie and everything. He looks like a love. That's what I feel.
Excellent, excellent, sir. Very nicely put. Any other views?
I think the beggar is satisfied with what he has. What he has is koti or a crore of rupees, even though he has a few tens rupee notes. So joy in being satisfied with what is there. But as somebody else put, there is ego also at play. I also have money. It can be taken either way.
Either way, correct. So when you notice, actually there are, there's an unseen character in that scene. There are two main characters that we are seeing, but I would like us to compare these two characters with a third character. So at the outset, when we look at these two characters, you would say, or many may say, who is a beggar? If I ask that question, the usual answer may be the person who's sitting there with that ragged cloth. He's a beggar. Why? He is a professional beggar. He is begging. That's what he does. That's how he's collected his money. And the person who's wearing a tie, and the person who's having the suit boot, if I ask you, is he a beggar? Most probable answer is no. But if you examine that question, who is a beggar? Who is a beggar? A beggar is someone who feels some kind of a lack. That professional beggar who's begging money, what is the lack he's feeling? I don't have money. I don't have food. I don't have clothes. So what is the way? I will beg. What is this other fellow begging for? He's begging for some kind of a recognition. If you notice, that's why, he was initially feeling very proud, no? He tossed his coin. Look how much money I have. I am better than you. So he's begging for that. I'm better than you. That recognition. I'm more than you. That recognition. Though he's not by dressed or by social norms, he may not be a beggar from outside appearance, but in a way, he is also a beggar. Why? Because he has not yet come out of his nature of begging. His nature of begging may not be anymore sitting and asking money from somebody. His nature of begging now has become little more sophisticated. I'm better than you knowledge wise. I'm better than you money wise. Give me that recognition. Call me a rich person. Call me an intelligent person. So there is a seeking still. There is still a begging that is happening even in that other person. And the third unseen character is a Sadguru, a realized being, a Sri Krishna. What is the difference between these two beggars and a Sadguru or a realized being? Is that the realized one has come out of the begging consciousness. Why? Because there is clarity, identity, identification with who I am truly. What is my true nature? And there is focus on amplifying my own divine. And in the divine, there is no lack. There is no lack. There is no more fear. There is no more jealousy. There is only a giving. There is only a offering. So there is no more any kind of a begging consciousness. And that is the secret of this game of the three. So to realize that my essential nature is Satchidananda and I do not have any lack, and to bring it out in my day-to-day, in my moment-to-moment situations, by recognizing that I have the power to amplify my divine qualities and to nullify my demonic qualities, is how you and I can simplify. And when we simplify, you and I can simply fly. Because that is what you and I want, to simply fly in life, to be light, nothing to carry, no worries, no tensions, to be joyous, to be happy, to be wonderful, to be helpful, to be kind, to be loving. And that is already there. I and you have to just choose to amplify. Hari Om.